I too, like Pastor Sherry Gale, can't begin this time of reflection without just appreciating Brother Ray Fitz, who I admire. And I'm very grateful that he's a part of the Omega CDC board. But more than that, you've been an incredible inspiration. What I've admired most of your tenacity to not say no, not to give in to the issue of our children and the need to reduce poverty, mitigate the issues that are prominent in our community, to transform our communities to something great and wonderful. I want to thank Branford Brown for nominating me for this great honor. And I, too, was incredibly surprised when I got the call from Tom Kelly saying that I was elected and selected for this great award. Thank you to those who made the decision, as I agree with, and the nice thing about following someone is you get to say, and I ditto what they said. But I believe the truth is, I don't know who the mystery team was of the Montgomery County Family and Children First Council, but I thank you for this great honor. Thank you for selecting me. I'm deeply humbled by this recognition and overjoyed that I get to receive this award alongside a woman for whom I have the greatest respect and whose heart and strong voice of advocacy I greatly admire, Reverend Sherry Gale. We shared together on several boards, and even we voiced our concerns that we share about equity and fair decisions for our children and their families. And it's inspired us to set appointments and walk in together to whomever we think needs to hear the voice, whether it be the mayor of this city or folks who stand in great places making decisions about the future of our community. I also stand today to give thanks for the amazing family that I was raised in and the family that I've been blessed to, raise. I've birthed 3 children, one of whom is here today, the Reverend Joshua Ward. He has blessed me with a beautiful wife and 3 wonderful children. I'm a grandmother, and I'm really glad about it. I have 2 daughters who are also incredibly important to me. One is finishing her doctorate in psychology, and she just matched, those who understand that word of matching, for internships, and with her first choice, which is the VA of Dayton. She's coming back from Chicago to Dayton. And I'm super excited about that. She is very much committed to children and adolescents and all of the issues around preparing mental health and behavior for those children, and particularly for their families. What has most inspired her is the need to touch families that often carry much stigma around behavioral issues, primarily in the African American community. She stands boldly in her person and boldly in her culture, with a sense of all needs being met, but very specifically speaking on behalf of children of color and their families. So I'm proud of her and excited that she is going to be able to grace Dayton again, having been raised here and graduating from school here. My 3rd daughter is, actually she's my first daughter, but she is also giving some consideration after much tugging and pulling to leave the Chicago area and possibly come back here as well. And then you have a world to respond to, the Ward world that we seem to be blessed to have, with very talented children who care about this community. I also stand to give thanks to my mother, who's here. She's 82 years old, Goldie Oliver, who came to Dayton very recently, who also instilled in me the need to get a great education, which she said to me almost every day of my life, so that I could make good choices in life and be able to make choices. She said education is your ticket for making choice, and I'm grateful to that. Also very thankful for my partner in crime, Daryl Ward. So we've been hanging out together for 36 years, and pastoring, I've been joining with him in the ministry at Omega for 30 years. And I am so incredibly thankful for his willingness to see my gifts and make room for them, as God has given us both direction in that. I also stand to give thanks to the amazing team of people that I work with day in and day out. I serve with a dedicated staff who works tirelessly to make a difference in the lives of the people that come our way. To Shaq and Tony, you all stand, and also Brother Bird, who works with the SERVE team, and our Restorative Passage program. Thank you for that. To Miracle, who's working with our Workforce Development program. Will you stand? And also Reverend Sherry Nelson. We don't have the whole team here, but it is a dedicated group of people, and I thank you for striving for excellence and for embracing a vision to bring about positive change for the children and families that we serve. I'm also grateful for a board of trustees, many of whom are present today, and they're committed to make the Omega Community Development Corporation a nonprofit entity that raises high standards to ensure that we are compliant in our governance and true to our mission. Would you stand, board? I thank you for your gift as well. And then I also need to thank the Omega Church because of that great foundation, they have actually given permission for the work of the Omega CDC that's been involved in this community for over 20 years. So some of the board members are here. Would you stand? And I thank you for being here. Church. As I have been asked to talk about the work that I do, I frame my comments around a vision that I received at the moment in which I knew that God was calling me to serve. As clearly as I see you today, as I knelt and prayed for God to reveal God's purpose for my life upon completion of seminary over 25 years ago, I saw a multitude of faces of children. Faces of children for as far as I could see, with eyes that were fixed upon me, with nothing more than just the head of those children, the faces, not their bodies, nothing that ensured for me the state from which they were standing, nothing like that, but their faces were just so prominently before me, and there was such a sense of hope in their eyes, as if in great anticipation, they had hope, waiting to receive a word, a message for which they had been waiting. And I was being called to deliver that message. I remember tearing up as I looked upon their faces and asking, what do I have to say? Why my voice? Many more questions came to mind. In the midst of crying, I remember trying to answer questions, and I remember hearing a voice speaking within my soul, telling me that for those children, I was being called to speak. And at that moment, with tears in my eyes, I remember answering and saying, yes, yes, Lord, I will accept my call to speak for children. Children whose voices may not be clearly heard, or whose voices were not for some reason being received. Children in poverty, children who didn't have any other avenue for getting what they needed. Now, how I was to be that voice, I had no idea. I just knew that the call was clearly given to me, and my faith informed me that I would be guided and directed in fulfilling this call. As I reflect over these past years of ministry, I believe that what I do has been in direct response to this call. I've sought to speak on boards and in places of influence. I have sought to speak in action, leading programs and activities with a focus on implementing the most rigorous and nurturing opportunities for children who might not otherwise have had an opportunity. From the creation of a middle school that sought to be a place that nurtured kids in the inner city to rise up and to excel. I was tired of going to high school graduations and hearing report that 400 kids entered into this class this year, but graduating today are 75. And I asked the question, what happened to the rest of the kids? Who's looking out for those children? This propelled me forward to begin the middle school, not to be a competition with our public school, but to enhance in some way and to answer an urgent need. You can't fail 325 kids and their families when they have sought your response to their education as their only way of making it. So we created a middle school. And I'm pleased to say out of many of those kids who went through the Omega School of Excellence, we have PhDs, we have doctors, we have the first class of DECA that finished royally. I just had an opportunity to walk through DECA and to see pictures of kids that I had at the Omega School of Excellence who are graduates, engineers, doctors, PhDs, and then just some mamas and daddies who have values. I started an after-school program, the Character Academy, because between the hours of 3 to 7, we knew some kids didn't have anybody to take care of them. So my husband said, give them a hot meal and let's do something productive. We started summer learning to stop the summer slide that has plagued our children for decades. Through my work with Omega School of Excellence, Camp Kumba, Children's Defense Fund Freedom Schools, and our current 21st Century Scholars of Hope program, after-school program, I have strived to be a voice for those countless children whose faces, whose names I may not know, but whose eyes called me to speak. I speak to demand a more excellent way for them to be given the same just and equitable chance to survive, to thrive, to excel, to be the leaders of the future. I speak for safe schools and safe classrooms. I went in DECA this past week and saw that every classroom was locked because of Florida, because of all the other issues going on. So the superintendent had to unlock every door so that we could go in. This is not the way for us to live. I speak for safe classrooms. I speak for dedicated staff who will not tolerate mediocrity anymore in the instruction and the delivery of instruction, who will not tolerate mediocrity in the students we are serving, because I raise expectations every time I touch a child. Just getting over is not enough. I speak for children to recognize that there's greatness in them, and we are expecting to see that greatness in the way they perform and in the way they treat one another. Our motto at Freedom Schools and at the Scholars of Hope After School program has been celebrated and daily reinforced by our staff and our leaders as we sing this song, Something Inside So Strong. I know that you can make it. Keep striving. Beyond this call for the children, I soon learned in my work with the school that I could not focus my attention just on the children, but I had to consider this call to positively impact the families that had entrusted their children with us. For every mother and father who dropped a child off to me each day, regardless of their circumstance, whether employed or unemployed, whether released from prison or in jail, and sending messages to me through the grandparent or guardian caring for them, there was hope that I would take care of that child. I recognize that every parent wants the best. Every parent wants the best. Every parent wants the best for his or her child. And while he or she may not know how to provide the best, they want it for their child. I also soon discovered how important it was for that child to have that parent empowered to serve as their best advocate. I'm honored today that I'm not standing here by myself, but grateful that there are a whole lot of collaborators and partners in this room. We do not stand alone. I'm grateful I get a voice today. I happen to be honored to have this opportunity to have a voice. But through partnerships, I learned early on that's the way we're going to fight this issue of speaking for children and their families. Issues are complex, but together we can make the difference. And so it's become my quest to find ways to serve children and families. It's been mentioned about the Hope Center for Families. I'm honored that I have a few of the partners here today in St. Clair Community College with Dr. Collins. It's a vision, but we speak as if it's already here. A wonderful two-story, 31,400 square foot facility with Children's Medical providing a clinic that provides vaccinations and also opportunity for behavioral health. For Mini University, which is one of the highest NACE accredited early learning programs for infants to age 5. For quality training and opportunity for those parents to get jobs and earn livable wages so that the integrity and dignity of those parents can be preserved. While this multi-generational model for the reduction of poverty is not new, the spirit that has informed and ignited my work has come from the man for whom this award has been named, Brother Ray Fitz. And I close my comments by saying I cannot say enough about that spirit that has brought confirmation to the work that I am currently doing. And I'm grateful for Brother Ray Fitz's dedication, service, and commitment to the children and families that continue to call all of us to speak out on their behalf. And in honor of that call, I find the courage and I find the strength to continue to raise my voice. Thank you.